Hello, my friends. It's time again to review some of the horrors going on with the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, and specifically to take a look at what colleagues of ours are saying about this so-called proposed model for the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide 7th edition. I'd like to focus on this comment from one of our esteemed colleagues, Dave. Dave says, here we are at the end of July. Watch this. No update from PMI as to where the 7th edition stands. What happened to open and transparent communication? Can you see exactly what I'm talking about? Where's the actual outreach to the so-called 1,000s of stakeholders who have a vested interest in what the next updated version of the standard for project management and the latest version of the PMBOK guide contains? This update seems to have fallen into a black hole, with the PMI deliberately hiding any discussions around the opinions as to whether their 7th edition update is being accepted as a consensus view by the broader PM community. In my humble opinion, PMI is exhibiting a truly one-sided level of dominance and undue influence in the production, review, and finalization of this very important ANSI standard. Where is a transparent and open discussion of ideas? And for that matter, where is the open communication for where the entire update progress stands? As an American standards developer, ASD, PMI owes an obligation to the affected stakeholders for an open and honest update as to where things stand with this update. Do you see exactly what I said on my last update? The PMI refuses to come clean with this. Now let's go a step further and take a look at what else our esteemed colleague has said here, and whether there's true consensus about what is put forth. You see that as the newest version of an ANSI standard. In my view, PMI is using its position as an ASD to exert its influence and to stifle any discussion about what is being put forth as this new update to the ANSI standard for project management. So let's just be honest. Let's come clean. Let's go back to the good old days when people knew what the code of ethics represents. These are not my words. These are the words of our colleague. As you can see, what Dave is saying is spot on. Why does PMI refuse to open up visibility as to what concerns have been exposed by the consensus process? Is this a blatant attempt to control the conversation? Is this an attempt to exert an undue influence to the standards consensus committee to provide an affirmative vote for accepting the latest draft standard as an ANSI approved standard? I challenge anyone listening to these comments from Dave right now. If you agree with what the PMI is doing and you think the 7th edition is a good idea and you're not on the panel, why don't you drop some comments below? This is exactly what I have been saying. And I thank Dave for the patience to put out this spot on comment. Why does PMI refuse to open up the visibility as to what concerns have been exposed by the consensus process? Why? Why do they keep hiding it? Because they know that the PMBOK Guide 7th edition will not be worth the cost of the paper it's written on. Broad consensus can only be attained by a fully transparent, open dialogue around the draft, its concerns, and a robust dialogue as to what should be included or excluded. Anything else is a sham. Watch that word. It's a sham. PMI, this is not me. I know it's always like Phil is talking bad about us. Phil is saying this and that about us. It's not about you, PMI. It's about the stakeholders. It's about us. We are PMI, not you, the leadership, not you, the people in the offices in Pennsylvania, wherever you are. It's us, the project managers, the program managers, the portfolio managers, those who have slaved away, putting together the PMBOK first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth edition. All of us who have put all of these editions together, we are the PMI, not the people in the offices. So how dare you come and present a sham to us, telling us that this is what you will present as the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide 7th edition. We absolutely reject and abhor what you are presenting, and we do not agree. We refuse to accept this sham. As Dave says, why hide behind committees and poorly defined and barely communicated processes? They should be ashamed. As the #1 leading global association for project management in the world, it is a shame what the PMI has come to. It's absolutely abhorrent and ridiculous to take a look at an organization that was once the bright, shining light that has now become the dim flicker, not even as bright as a candle. That is what the PMI is coming to. And I ask all of you project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, business analysts, wherever you are, if you know anything about the 7th edition, the one thing I want you to remember is this is a sham. And I would like to give another huge shout out to our colleague for putting these eloquent comments together. Dave says, my appeal to PMI is to open up the discussion around consensus for this update, this standard update. Make it open and transparent so all affected stakeholders have insight, all affected stakeholders. But of course, no, the PMI doesn't even know the book they wrote, chapter 13 about stakeholder management. What are we asked to do? #1, identify stakeholders. Have they identified us as stakeholders? Well, obviously not. Plan stakeholder engagement. Have you planned how to engage us? Of course, we are non-entities to you, so you don't engage us. Manage stakeholder engagement. Is this managing stakeholder engagement? You can bet your bottom dollar it is far from the truth. As far the east is from the west, the PMI has not engaged stakeholders. They didn't even plan for it. They didn't even identify us. And then you talk about monitor stakeholder engagement. If they didn't manage stakeholder engagement, do you think they even care about monitoring our engagement? They don't. So Dave, you're nicer than I am. You said open and honest debate is never a bad thing. Subterfuge and failure to communicate is tantamount to a total breach of ethics. This is a total breach of ethics on every level. Ignoring the stakeholders like they don't exist, not planning to engage them, not managing the engagement, or by selecting a favorite section of probably 0.001% of people, or probably even less. How on earth could you present this sham to us as the 7th edition? I will continue to make as much noise as possible. Why? Because I have dedicated over 15 years since I got certified to this, and far before that, I had been in project management, and this is not the way forward. This is not the PMI that we have come to know. Now, let's be honest. Let's talk about when other leaders were at the helm. Greg was at the helm. Mark was at the helm. Did we see this? Did we see anything like this? No. What on earth has become of the PMI? It's time to go rewind. Listen back to yourselves, PMI. Read all those standards that you have published, all those standards that have been taught worldwide. Take a look at those standards. Have a rethink about your awful representation of stakeholder management. It is an absolute shame, a crying shame, to put it precisely. Now let's take a look at one more comment that I would like you to read from a commenter on our YouTube channel here. And Antonio is one of our esteemed colleagues who has some further comments to the video that I put out a few days ago. So the video I put out a few days ago, let's read what Antonio says. He says, cheers, Phil. Great vids. There's another aspect. I've been working in projects. Watch this. I have been working in projects with people from all over the world. For example, in a single project, I've had Angolans, Portuguese, Americans, French, Dutch, South Africans, Israeli, Lebanese, partners, colleagues, contractors, clients. Watch this. All working together, and the PMBOK is a common language. What is hard for the PMI to understand? That the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide is a common language. Antonio says PMBOK is a common code. The common language, the code for a roadmap we can all read and get behind. Of course, PMBOK was always like that. This safe collaborative framework, critically useful, even if you only had to deal with different disciplines, architecture, engineering, financing, accounting, lawyers, and so on. Now replace principles for processes. Different people, different professional approaches, different languages, religions, customs, and of course, different economic interests and incentives, compounded with geographic and time zone differences, everything. The complexity of reality in a multicultural, globalized world and the project community. People who see the world differently now have to come together around a project charter and told that principles are key, not processes and straightforward project deliverables, some lofty sounding principles. What do you think this is? The Feel Good Institute? I am as shocked and miffed as Antonio is. So no more straightforward deliverables. Just be good to one another, sing kumbaya, hold your hands together. If there's a magical thinking institute, it should feel threatened. Antonio, thank you for your straight up, honest review of this again. Sham. I will continue to release these videos until we hear something and see traction for action. But I will hold them accountable because just remember, the PMI is not the leadership of PMI. It is our institute as project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, business analysts, and entire organizations. I know entire organizations that have spent hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars getting people certified. I know agencies in the United States government that have spent tens of thousands getting their people certified. Entire companies. So how dare you act like this is of no concern to us? Get it straight, get it right, PMI, fly right. This is a reminder. And on your site, projectmanagement.com, there are many warnings as to why you should not even embark any further on this mindless journey into oblivion. I look forward to hearing comments from people. I look forward to hearing and seeing something sensible and tangible. Again, I'm going to put the links below. Go check out the disgust. Check out the disgust from lots of our colleagues. There are so many of them. And next, I'll probably be focusing on comments of other professionals. Talk to you soon.